Greetings from our channel again. 4 hours. When Natalie Wood vanished, they waited that long before calling for assistance. Robert Wagner halted the captain's search, but why? Why was his tail constantly shifting? And when the case was reopened, why did he not cooperate? 42 years of lies and secrets later. Finally, fresh evidence is exposing the truth about what transpired on the magnificent yacht. There may be a solution to the enigma that plagued Hollywood. The biography of Natalie Wood is one of heartache and genius. She was born in San Francisco on July 20, 1938. Natalia Nikolaevna Zakharenko was her true name. Maria and Nikolai, her parents, were Russian immigrants who had fled a difficult existence. When they arrived in America, they had difficulties. However, Maria hoped her daughter would become a well-known celebrity. Natalie had an unconventional beginning to her acting career. When she was 4 years old in 1942, her family purchased a home in Santa Rosa. She attracted the attention of the film team, who wanted her to be part of a local film shoot. Even though she had a small part, it was recognized. She made a quick 15-second cameo in another movie shortly after, Happy Land. Despite their little appearances, Irving Piquel, the filmmaker, was drawn to them. He thought Natalie was unique. For 2 years, Piquel maintained contact with her family while always searching for her next significant opportunity. Piquel contacted Natalie's mother one day to share some wonderful news. He believed Natalie would be ideal for a part that was coming up. He proposed that they take her for a screen test in Los Angeles. Maria, Natalie's mother, wasted no time. Determined to make Natalie a star, she packed up the whole family and relocated them to Los Angeles. Maria's ambition triumphed over her father's disapproval of her audacious decision. Nothing could stop Natalie from achieving her greatness, in her opinion. Natalie got the part at the age of 7. She co-starred with Claudette Colbert and Orson Welles in the 1946 film Tomorrow is Forever as a German orphan. It was not an easy role. Natalie was forced to cry on cue in one poignant scene, but she was unable to control herself. In an unexpected moment, her mother made her weep by tearing apart a butterfly in front of her. It was a difficult experience for such a little youngster, but the tears did the trick. Later, Orson Welles remarked that Natalie's brilliance was nearly frightening. He claimed that she doesn't follow the script. She does what she feels. Natalie starred in Pitchell's film The Bride Wore Boots, continuing their collaboration. In 1947, she played Gene Tierney's daughter in The Ghost and Mrs. Muir after joining 20th Century Fox. Natalie was demonstrating by that point that she was more than just a pretty face. She had a natural skill that allowed her to compete with celebrities. Miracle on 34th Street, 1947, was Natalie Wood's breakthrough performance as a child star. She portrayed a bright but doubtful young girl who didn't think Santa Claus existed until she met Edmund Gwen, a kindly department shop employee who might perhaps be the real Santa. Audiences all across the world adored the film, which became a Christmas classic. Following the movie, Natalie rose to prominence as one of Hollywood's most well-known child stars. Few people ever get the opportunity to participate in the Thanksgiving Day parade, but she was so well-liked that Macy's invited her to do so. But it wasn't easy being a child celebrity. School and job had to be balanced for Natalie. Everywhere she filmed, she studied on the studio lot because she was a minor. She was required by California law to attend school for at least 3 hours every day until she reached 18. Natalie excelled in arithmetic and received straight A's in school. Working with her on The Ghost and Mrs. Muir, 1947, director Joseph L. Mankiewicz described her as the sharpest child he had ever encountered. However, Natalie felt guilty about it. She was aware that every day the film crew had to wait for her to get out of school. Not wanting to waste any time, she would dash to the set as soon as her teacher released her. Although her life may seem spectacular, there was a cost. Natalie had to work long hours, often 12-hour days, 6 days a week, even though she was only 8. Despite the extreme physical and emotional strain, nobody seemed to care. Getting the camera to operate flawlessly was all that mattered. When Natalie Wood featured in Rebel Without a Cause in 1955, her life was permanently altered. The film, which focused on adolescent disobedience, struck a profound chord with viewers. Her ability to make Judy's feelings seem genuine won praise from critics. It wasn't simple for Natalie to land this role. She had previously appeared in benign, infantile characters, so director Nicholas Ray didn't think she could portray a rebellious adolescent. He tried Debbie Reynolds and other actresses, but Natalie persisted. She even threatened to run away from home and turn into a serious miscreant if he didn't allow her to try out. Natalie put a lot of effort into getting ready for the role. However, things became tricky behind the scenes. She began dating the 43-year-old director Ray when she was barely 16 years old. She later called it painful and wrong, but at the time it was considered as part of her commitment to the character. Rebel Without a Cause wasn't a smooth film. During production, Natalie and Dennis Hopper, her co-star, were involved in an automobile accident. She wasn't gravely injured, but it enhanced the film's reputation for being edgy. Then tragedy came shortly after the filming was over. The movie star, James Dean, lost his life in an automobile accident. Everyone was startled by his death, which added to the film's emotional impact upon its release. Despite all of this drama, Natalie's performance was particularly noteworthy. Audiences and critics alike were impressed by the depth and emotion she brought to Judy. She received a nomination for Best Supporting Actress at the 1956 Academy Awards. Even though she lost, it was a significant event in her career since it demonstrated her ability to be a Hollywood star. She was named the most promising rookie and received a Golden Globe that same year. For Natalie, this achievement created opportunities. She performed in the popular films West Side Story and Splendour in the Grass in 1961. She portrayed Deanie, a young woman coping with mental illness and heartache, in Splendour in the Grass. Natalie put a lot of effort into her position, including going to mental facilities to observe patients. She breaks down in a bathtub in one particularly poignant sequence, which was captured on camera in a single take. She received another Oscar nomination for Best Actress for the successful film. Natalie played Maria in West Side Story shortly after that. She portrayed a young Puerto Rican woman who fell in love with a member of a rival gang. Her acting was acclaimed despite the fact that someone else dubbed her singing voice. The film won 10 Oscars, including Best Picture, and became an enormous success. At the young age of 23, Natalie became one of Hollywood's top stars because to these two films. Natalie portrays a woman coping with an unintended pregnancy in the 1963 film Love with the Proper Stranger. Because it addressed subjects like abortion, which were rarely discussed in Hollywood at the time, the film was daring for its day. One particularly poignant and spontaneous moment included Natalie's character going through a terrifying abortion attempt. She was nominated for a third Oscar for her performance. Despite her accomplishment, Natalie found it difficult to fit into the parts that were presented to her. She didn't want to play the same roles over and over again. She thus paid $175,000 in 1966 to terminate her Warner Brothers contract. Because they didn't test her as an actress, she turned down big-budget films like Barefoot in the Park. However, this choice also harmed her career because it reduced her visibility in Hollywood. She was under too much strain to manage both her personal issues and her profession. Natalie tried to kill herself in 1966 by taking too many sleeping pills, but she was fortunate to live. She then took a hiatus from performing to concentrate on her mental well-being. She also started over after firing her entire staff. In 1969, Natalie Wood's roles in Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice marked a significant turning point in her career. Her 3-year hiatus from filmmaking was followed by an extraordinary comeback. Released on September 17, 1969, the movie made $31.9 million on a $2 million budget, making it an immediate hit. Carol Sanders, portrayed by Natalie, was a fearless, contemporary figure who experimented with open partnerships. She was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Motion Picture for her performance. Natalie switched from big-budget films to television jobs in the 1970s. In addition to wanting to spend more time with her family, she saw that entertainment was evolving. The Affair, her first major television effort, debuted in 1973. Her portrayal of a married woman having an affair was a big hit, with roughly 30 million viewers. She starred in the From Here to Eternity miniseries in 1979. With 5 nights of broadcasting, it was a huge thing at the time. And 39 million people watch it every night. After 7 nominations, Natalie's performance earned her her first Golden Globe for Best Actress. In 1976, she also portrayed Maggie in the television adaptation of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Her portrayal of the part, which had previously been performed by Elizabeth Taylor, was praised by critics. She made the decision to switch to TV at a pivotal moment in her life. Following a 10-year divorce, she remarried Robert Wagner in 1972. She behaved less because she was concentrating on her family. Additionally, she only acted in 4 films in the 1970s. Compared to how busy she had been in the 1950s and 1960s, this was a significant change. The sci-fi thriller Brainstorm, which was released in 1981, was her final picture. Natalie portrayed a scientist developing a device that would be able to capture human sensations. The film made use of innovative and cutting-edge technology, such as 70mm film, to give the scenes a more realistic appearance. Unfortunately, Natalie passed away on November 29, 1981, at the age of 43, while production was underway. The majority of her scenes were completed, but due to her passing, filming was halted. The director worked hard to complete the film as a memorial to her, even though the studio attempted to cancel it for insurance money. They employed body doubles, imaginative editing, and even had Natalie's sister act as a prop. Nearly 2 years later, on September 30, 1983, the film was eventually released. Despite its lackluster box office performance, it received plaudits for its concepts and amazing effects. As time went on, Brainstorm developed into a cult classic and is today regarded as a significant work of science fiction. Robert Wagner and Natalie Wood's first marriage seemed like a Hollywood fantasy. At the age of 10, she had her first encounter with Wagner. She told her mother at the time that she hoped to wed him in the future. They began dating after Natalie turned 18 years later. Their courtship progressed quickly, and on December 28, 1957, they were married in Scottsdale, Arizona. They were referred to be Hollywood's golden duo by everyone, who thought they were the ideal couple. However, beneath all the glamour, things weren't exactly as they seemed. Natalie's career as an actress was flourishing. They were at odds since Robert's career wasn't doing as well. Their marriage abruptly terminated in 1961. According to some accounts, Natalie discovered Robert at their house having an affair. That kind of thing would have been a major Hollywood scandal at the time. On June 20, 1961, they made their separation official, and on April 27, 1962, their divorce became permanent. Warren Beatty and Natalie started dating. According to Natalie, their relationship was turbulent and tumultuous, filled with arguments. Robert, meantime, found it difficult to cope with the split and traveled to Europe from Los Angeles. British producer Richard Gregson was Natalie's second husband. Actor Robert Redford, a friend of theirs, introduced them. They were married on May 30, 1969, in a Russian Orthodox church in California, following 3 years of courtship. At first, everything appeared to be going well. With Richard, Natalie, who had been struggling with mental health concerns during her first marriage and the split from Beatty, felt more solid. Natalie was overjoyed when they welcomed a daughter, Natasha, into the world in September 1970. However, their joy was short-lived. Richard felt excluded as a result of Natalie's intense concentration on being a mother. Richard had an affair with Natalie's secretary as a result of their separation. Natalie was enraged when she learned. On August 4, 1971, she filed for divorce after evicting him. Officially, their marriage terminated on April 12, 1972. The story of Natalie and Robert Wagner, meantime, continued after their divorce. They eventually reconnected after being away for almost 10 years. During that period, both had remarried, Natalie to Richard Gregson and Robert to actress Marion Marshall. However, both were once more unmarried by early 1972. They got back in touch in January and fell in love again almost immediately. Even Natalie was taken aback by how swiftly their love progressed once more. Although she acknowledged that friends advised her to slow down, she believed that she and Robert had both matured during their separation. She thought Robert had at last grown into the man she had always envisioned him as. The Ramblin' Rose, a yacht docked outside Malibu, was the venue for their second marriage, which took place on July 16, 1972. It was unique and romantic. It appeared that their second marriage was stronger than their first. In 1974, they had a daughter named Courtney, and Robert became Natasha's devoted stepfather. However, their joy was cruelly interrupted in 1981 when Natalie perished at sea inexplicably. Natalie Wood traveled to Catalina Island on November 28, 1981, for what should have been a leisurely vacation. Together with her husband Robert Wagner, co-star Christopher Walken, and the yacht's captain Dennis Davern, she stepped onto the magnificent vessel. In the end, it was just the four of them, even though they had originally intended to bring additional people. The journey began in a calm manner. They anchored at Avalon, a little town on the island, after departing Marina del Rey on Friday, November 27. Natalie? Dennis remained aboard the boat while Robert and Christopher went shopping and had drinks on land. Due to poor weather, Wagner made the decision the following day to relocate the yacht to Two Harbors, a more tranquil location. The weather was not conducive to a good weekend. It was windy, rainy, and cold with choppy waters. The group dined at Two Harbors' Soul Eatery, Doug's Harbor Reef, that evening. They got there about 5 o'clock and began to drink excessively. They drank champagne. There is more than enough wine and cocktails to make everyone inebriated. The restaurant employees could tell they were drunk by the time they left around 10:30 p.m. 11:05 p.m. Wagner even yelled, "Get off my fucking boat," in his memory. Then there was silence. Marilyn Wayne, a woman on a nearby boat, reported hearing a woman yelling for assistance at around the same moment. "Help me," the voice cried. "I need help, please. I'm going to drown." Devereaux of dark water repeatedly over the course of 15 minutes, which made her departure even more bizarre. She had publicly stated, "I'm afraid of water that is dark." Many people find it incomprehensible that she would willingly leave the yacht at night. Hours later, at 1:30 a.m., the hunt for Natalie began. It was not until 3:30 a.m. that the Coast Guard was alerted. She vanished more than 4 hours prior to that. Smith, Roger. The captain of the rescue boat that discovered her dead claimed that he wasn't even informed that she had vanished until 5:11 a.m., nearly 6 hours later. She had a scrape on her cheek and bruises on her arms and legs, according to the autopsy. Some people believe she struggled with someone before falling into the river because of one bruise on her arm that appeared to be a defense wound. Along with signs of motion sickness and painkillers, she also had a blood alcohol level of 0.14%. That night, she and her husband, Robert Wagner, had a nasty dispute. This was no minor altercation. He characterized it as tense and intense. This was not taken lightly by the police. The case's lead investigator, Lieutenant John Corina, stated that they had received leads from a number of people, all of whom were reliable. Additionally, since 1981, forensic technology has advanced significantly, giving investigators hope that they may find new hints. The two guys conversed to reach the conclusion of the tale. They were discussing the tale of a woman who killed a man. They were discussing the tale of a woman who killed a man. They were discussing something that had never been discussed before. A significant event occurred in August 2012. The death certificate for Natalie Wood was altered. Her cause of death was listed as accidental drowning for many years. However, it has now been revised to include drowning and other unknown variables. This shift wasn't arbitrary. It followed months of inquiry and was a reflection of the increasing suspicion that her death was not an accident. He claimed that after drinking excessively, he and Christopher Walken got into a heated argument about Wood's career. "I picked up a wine bottle, slammed it on the table, and broke it into pieces," Wagner said, acknowledging that he had lost his anger. This was a far cry from his previous account of the evening. What the yacht's captain, Captain Dennis Davern, had been stating for years was more in line with the investigation. The fact that Wagner refused to assist with the inquiry once the case was reopened is among his most suspect actions. "I haven't seen him tell the details that match all the other witnesses," stated Lieutenant John Corina of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department in 2018. His account of what happened simply isn't consistent. As a result, on February 1, 2018, over 37 years after Natalie Wood's death, Wagner was formally designated as a person of interest. Furthermore, Christopher Walken, who was on the yacht that evening, has largely kept silent about the incident. But he expressed his opinions in a 2012 Playboy interview. Walken claimed that because she was by herself that evening, only she knew what had transpired. Her room was at the back, and she had gone to bed before us. There was a dinghy bouncing off the boat's side. She may have gone out to move it, too. Indeed, they had to omit a scene in which they were swimming from the brainstorm. She was probably wearing a coat and half sleeping. There was some wisdom in Walken's statement. However, he declined to discuss the night in depth. Natalie Wood's death has been a mystery for decades due to Wagner's shifting accounts, his lack of cooperation, and the unresolved issues. What actually transpired that night is still a mystery to many. Lana, Natalie Wood's sister, revealed a startling secret in her book in 2021. She claimed that Natalie was harmed by well-known actor Kirk Douglas at a Hollywood hotel in 1955, when she was only 16 years old. Since Douglas was a huge star at the time, their mother had arranged a meeting with him in the hopes that he could support Natalie's acting career. However, something went horribly wrong that evening. Natalie was really upset as she returned to the car. She spoke quickly to their mother although her clothing were a mess. As a young child at the time, Lana was aware that something terrible had occurred, but she was unsure of what it was. Natalie didn't tell Lana the truth until years later. She said, "He hurt me, Lana." Words that revealed the depth of the anguish she had been carrying around. This tale serves as a reminder that even well-known and prosperous individuals can conceal painful memories from their past. Additionally, it demonstrates that Hollywood was not always as glamorous as it appeared to be, particularly for aspiring young performers.